Hi, and welcome to another show on Business Today TV. Yes, we're still in different studios. How are you down there, Gerhard?
Looking forward to today, Michael.
I must admit, it does feel strange, guys, talking to a camera. I'm so used to looking over my shoulder and seeing Gerhard there. How's it for you down there?
I must say it is a bit of an adjustment, and looking forward that we can be in the same studio again.
I know. Today, though, COVID has thrown people out, but today's show, don't go anywhere. We're talking about pivoting and reframing your business. It's going to be great. Well, here we are. We are in separate studios. How are you, Gerhard?
Good, thank you, Michael.
Now, this is all about pivoting and reframing, but I think one of the core elements, and I think this might be a bit of a struggle for people, is staying motivated, Gerhard. It is difficult when you get isolated from other people.
Not only motivated, but to get inspired again. And as we move along now, there's some rules that getting relaxed, so you can start getting out again, having meetings. So yes, it's definitely to get motivated again, I think is also important.
Yeah, and I think what people have suddenly discovered, Gerhard, I don't know about yourself, is that when we're isolated, we can get a motivation extra. Well, we can, but we suddenly realize that a lot of motivation has to be self-motivation. It has to be ourselves. We've got to have something. And you use that word inspired, and I think that's a really critical word to keep you moving forward, getting past what we've gone through and growing as we go forward into the future.
And as a business leader or business owner, it's so important that you are inspired and motivated, that when your staff comes back into your business, that they can feel it. The people we spoke to in the last week or so is that the feeling is they're feeling anxious coming back to work. And by you feeling motivated, you will just help that process.
Absolutely. Look, we had a great guest in, Helia Singh, and of course, now Helia is self-made. She came from a country, couldn't even speak English, so she had to learn the language as well as get the qualifications. And if there's somebody who knows about being self-motivated and having the secret to that and inspiration, it is Helia. And we did a great interview with her, didn't we, Gerhard?
This inspired me, and it actually rebooted me in a different way of thinking coming out of COVID.
How are you, Helia?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, Michael?
Very good. COVID-19 has come along, probably changed our lives permanently now, even going into the future. But I was watching your video on your YouTube channel and talking about your values, golden values, shadow values, and you made a very interesting comment on there about motivation and staying inspired. And I thought, what a great thing you were talking about, especially in this time frame. How are you finding you're helping yourself and the other people that you coach and mentor to stay motivated and inspired during such difficult times?
Well, I think the great Zig Ziglar always said that motivation is something that you need a daily, like taking a bath. So we need to have that. But when you are inspired, you do it beyond any reason. You are not waiting for the right time to do it or judging whether it is okay to do it or not. You just get up and do that. So if you have ever experienced in life that is something that just makes you to get up and do something, that means you are inspired. You know, willpower and motivation is something that runs out, and basically the energy level goes down. But with inspiration, it seems as if you have an infinite amount of energy to do something. And for me, once I found out my shadow values and we agreed to them, so then now I'll do things with inspiration to help my values, both golden values and shadow values, to keep me going.
With inspiration, we find a lot of people do struggle in this area. I mean, you say motivation, and I've always had a thing, motivational seminars and quotes, they are pep you up for a time and they fall. What is the difference though? What's the difference of someone motivating you and someone helping you discover a shadow value to get, and I hope people watch the video, by the way, but just in this segment, just give them a bit of a taste.
See, motivation, as you mentioned, Michael, is something that comes from outside. We need to go somewhere or read something or talk to someone to get motivated, which is nothing wrong with that. It's all fine. But inspiration is something that comes from inside you. And it's just back to individual that what inspire you to do something. So if you only need motivation to do something, that means you are not living a fulfillment life. That means you are still lacking something to inspire you daily. And that's what definitely I suggest you to watch and do the exercise to find your values and shadow values.
You did say that some people shy away from shadow values because of the negative connotations, but you can turn them into a positive, and this is where you can really discover inspiration. Am I right? Did I listen to it correctly?
Right. That's exactly right. Because you see, our action first has to feed our shadow values, then it comes as a golden values. But if we only please our golden values and not to pay attention to our shadow values, no wonder we feel demotivated and we need someone else to tell us, get up and do something.
Wow, Helia Singh, and what a great interview that was with her. And of course, you can check out Helia's YouTube channel, see that complete interview on there with her. And she talks about those golden values, but the secret is those shadow values. If you really want to get to the heart of self-motivation, Gerhard, she phrased it in such a new way for even myself.
What I like about the show is when you listen to all these different guests, they all speak their own language. And always when I take something away from each and every guest speaker.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, we're going from Helia to Franco Prio. Now, Franco has been running his carpet business for goodness knows how long. He's one of the leading carpet cleaners in Perth here in Western Australia. The Carpet Cleaners Association, he helped form that and still very active in that as a trainer also. And he is taking the positive side of COVID and he's saying, what is happening? You're going to have to reframe or revisit your plans, as he puts it, or you might just get caught out on the other side.
Exactly. We think that we're going to go back to the normal. We're not going to go back to the normal. So we have to look at your plans to create our new normal.
Listen to this with Franco Prio from Fresh Air Carpet Cleaning. As business owners now, what are some of the things you're going to be doing to prepare for that upsurge after this?
After this? Okay, so at the moment I've just been in the throes of setting up another vehicle. So I've got 4 that will be ready to go by the time we hit the deck. So that if we do have anything come up again, that it's going to start, basically having more and more work out there, which I'm hoping to, because I'm also ramping up my marketing in the meantime. I've got more time, let's make use of it. So I'm getting out there and setting up plans and putting them to motion. But yeah, I want to make sure that even if I didn't have that marketing and that the things do actually suddenly increase, like I think they will, that I'd be able to handle that as it came forward.
Do you think this is one of the things, because every negative obviously has a positive,
Yeah.
There's always 2 sides. And your positive is you've increased your marketing, but you're also seeing a possible upsurge at the other side. So you're saying now what you're doing is putting in the plans to accommodate that upsurge. Is this where you think a lot of business owners could make use of their time, anticipate and see what they could put in place?
Absolutely. I mean, I actually went for a bit of a walk this morning as I normally do, and there was a sign out in the front yard. It said, "Plan for the worst, expect the best." And I thought, that's absolutely brilliant, because that's pretty much along the lines of what I'm doing. I'm planning for the worst, so ramping up the marketing so that even if everything does go down, I can still get a bigger chunk. It's more work, yes, to try and get a bigger mark happening. But then if the worst doesn't happen, I've got the best, absolute best, because I have everything in place ready for when the market does improve to be able to get things going quickly.
With COVID-19, because it's a bit of an oddball thing to be thrown at us.
That's one way to put it.
When you were putting the plans in place, one thing I forgot to ask you, when you're doing all your planning and your strategy to deal with it, did you involve Carl? Did you do this together, or is this a solo exercise you did by yourself?
So far it's been pretty much a solo exercise. I've been letting Carl do the work, The physical work is out there, is covering most of it. So for him, he hasn't actually had a decline in wages at all, in real wages. In fact, he's probably doing just as well, if not better than he was before, because I'm pulling myself back out of it and doing a lot of background stuff so that we can have that happy period coming out of it. But yeah, look, when it does come to that, if Carl does have an idea, he knows that he can come and discuss it with me, and he has done quite often. Said, oh, how about we do this and maybe tweak a little bit there. It's fantastic. I love having input because I don't know it all. And having another second or even third set of eyes sometimes can really, really help.
Yeah, I was going to say, because a lot of business owners, as you know, it's lonely when it's your own business.
Yeah.
But I know you're you do lots of training yourself anyway. You train people, plus you have people train you. And I know your conversations with Carl, you do have a very open flow of idea conversations going both ways between you and staff.
Absolutely. And like I said, there's no one person that knows everything. I mean, even when I've had trainees come through, I've learnt off them because they've had a little pearl of wisdom or a little idea or something that they've tried out. It's like, you know what, I've never thought of that. Let's try and get that one included in as well. So, you know, business is always about change. You don't stay the same forever because guess what? Things change.
We certainly do. Do you think having that strong relationship with Carl has given him the confidence that, yeah, I'm being protected? I'm looking at it more from the employee's side of the things, that he's got the trust factors there because you have got a really good relationship?
Well, I'd like to think so, because I mean, if he asks for something, he will normally get it. You know, if there's obviously if it's a reasonable request, but then again, he's never had an unreasonable request. he's pretty good like that. But yeah, he knows that he can come to me and say, well, we need something, or can we change something? Because this way is working for a bit better for me. And it's like, well, you know what? If it works better, let's have a look at it, and if we can, and it does work that much better, we'll implement it across the board. So that I will take that on as well. He'll take that on, and anybody in the future will take it on. So really, it's as I said, no one knows everything, and there's always that little bit of extra something somewhere that you pick up that you haven't come across before. Just because I've been around for 32 years this month doesn't mean that I've seen absolutely everything. I hear stories from other people around the place who have had something happen to them in the last week through the Facebook chat rooms in the industry, etc. And it's like, wow, that was really out of the box. I would never have expected that, but hey, the world's a weird place.
It certainly is. What a way to start the show, Gerhard. Two great guests, great perspectives, and I think in the two of them really get to, using your word again, inspire you as we come out of this COVID situation.
We need inspiration, and it's so important to listen to other people's views as well, so you can develop a new system, a new policy, a new procedure in your business.
Now, one thing that always, and I know a lot of people like this, Gerhard, and it is your 60-second question. You ask them a question, and you give them a maximum of 60 seconds to answer. No prep, straight off the top of the head, and I think it really gives you an insight into successful people's thinking. As we always say, success leaves clues. What did you ask them this week, Gerhard?
We asked him, what do you think is the value of a mentor?
Well, there are many differences between mentors and coaches. But the way that I see it is, mentor is someone who has been there where the person really needs help, and they can help them, guide them, pull them up with them. So comparing to some people that they say that, okay, someone is just there to only coach me or tell me what to do. Personally, if that mentor or that coach hasn't achieved the success that I'm after, that is not the right mentor or coach for me.
If you had asked me this question 6 years ago, I would have said, don't be silly. I don't need a mentor. And then I met a fellow called John Ross, and he has completely changed my life. If you're in business and you don't have a mentor, you don't have someone to go bounce ideas off, you're making an error. Find a mentor, find a good one, and stick to them and listen to them. They'll help you.
Mentor is very valuable. We don't know everything, and as we grow, it is a natural progression. Like when we are growing up as a child, we need our father, our parents are our mentors. Then when we go to school, our teachers are our mentors. Similarly, in business, whatever you might learn in the school, but a mentor is absolutely invaluable because you learn from their experience, you learn from the people who have been there and done that. That reduces your learning curve, and invariably, business people who have mentors are always more successful and get there much faster. It's like going for a marathon or going for a sprint without a coach. You're not going to get a medal, isn't it? If you're on your own.
I think it can save you a hell of a lot of mistakes with wisdom of someone who's been there before. So when I was younger and in business and quite naive in some regards, I didn't think you needed them because I was a bit cocky and thought, no, I'm doing all right, I don't need anyone. But then it came to me as I got a bit older, I think, that really there's so much wisdom, and I love sharing that with people who I mentor and to save the trouble and the mistakes and the cost of.
It's crucial. There's that saying that you become the person, the people that you surround yourself with. So I think it is critical that you have a mentor in different areas, whether it's spiritual, financial, emotional, in your specific industry. I think it is absolutely crucial to have someone that can challenge your thinking and that will help you grow. So I don't think it's a negotiable. You have to have it.
Wow, I do love those questions, Gerhard, that you ask them, the value of a mentor. Gee, I'm always struck at how successful people always seem to have the same kind of line of thinking or same type of attitude they take to their thinking.
But also, for me, is they bring it so narrow. You know, we think it's this big answer that we're going to get, and it's like, you need one. You need one today. Don't even think about it.
No, talking about, we talked about uncertainty before, and you know, with change and so forth. Now you were able, and despite some technical difficulties with Zoom, to talk to Anne-Marie in South Africa, who's in charge of mind skills, and I believe it is emotional intelligence is what one of her specialists is, Gerhard?
Well, one of speciality is emotional intelligence, and then also conversational intelligence. And I really thought she's such an ideal person to speak to about uncertainty. So like Michael said, we made an appointment because there's a 6-hour time difference. We connected to Zoom, and Zoom just decided it's going to freeze up. So we had to use Skype. So unfortunately, there might be a 1 or 2 second delay in asking the questions, but it's all about the value and the content of her interview. Today we are talking to Anne-Marie from Mind Skills, and Anne-Marie is based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to the show, Anne-Marie.
Thank you so much, Gerhard. So nice to be here.
Yeah. As a business consultant, I'm sure you get quite a few questions now from business owners. There's so much uncertainty going on with the COVID-19, and we're in lockdown and we have to restart your businesses. What would your advice be to them with all this uncertainty to get their mindset to where it should be?
I think the first thing, Gerhard, is to just acknowledge the fact that the brain needs certainty. And nothing can give us certainty, and no one can give us certainty in this point in time. So it's pretty much up to oneself or up to the leader to give certainty. The one thing that I think is crucial in this time, and one method that you can give that certainty to your team, is that you literally tap into your vision again. This is a perfect time to just put that vision out there so that people can realign with that and anchor in the vision. And I think if the leader manages to do that, the people will also feel that they're part of something bigger.
With this bigger vision that you said that you need to go and revisit again, will this be a good idea now to involve your staff in that process?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think when you look at conversational intelligence, that the focus is more on the we and not on the I. I think if you can create a we-centric company, that you literally involve everyone so that they feel that they matter. They feel that they are seen and that they feel that they have a voice. So I think it would be very beneficial for a company if the leader at this point pull everyone in, because it's not only the leader's responsibility.
So you said that the leader needs to give certainty to the staff, but what do you think the leader can do to get certainty for him?
For him, yeah, that is a big responsibility that all of us have. But I think there's typical stuff. I think the first one is to be very critical in what you expose yourself to. Be very critical in what you let in with regards to news and social media, because you can get overwhelmed by everything that you hear from the outside. So the first thing is sort of to just be clear on your filter. What is it that you're going to let in and what not? And then I think the typical stuff, like I think something very basic is a morning ritual, because that gives your brain that anchor and that certainty of everything is okay. And it just calibrates your brain to have a good day. So these are, it's not new, but it's still extremely powerful.
Well, it's so important. You said a few things that I really resonate with, is to have the routine in the morning and to have the filter in what you let in. Do you think is that when people don't know how to use that filter, is to research more in what they hear?
Yeah, I think to be critical. And I think there the word comes to mind, awareness. You need to wake up. You can't just blindly just read and blindly just take it for the truth. You have to wake up and be more critical in your thinking, so that your filter can be reset with regards to what you let through and what not.
Before we go, one last question.
Yes.
What would be your number one strategy to deal with uncertainty for you as a person?
Sure. I think for me, and this is what I've done, is Action Coach talks about that big, hairy, audacious goal. So for me, it was to get a project so that that can anchor me, it can be my goal, and that I can work daily and take the steps that would bring me closer to my goal.
Great. That is really good advice. I mean, thank you for your time and looking forward to speak to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerhard. Thank you so much.
Well, Gerhard, you overcame the challenge. You didn't let any technical difficulties get in the way of that interview. I thought that was really, really valuable. You said before that don't focus on some of the technical problems. I think some people do. They go, oh, the color's wrong, or it's a little bit this, or it's a little bit. Look, if you've got really good content, and then you can listen to really good content and take that and use it, I think that's the important takeaway from that. But good job there overcoming that on a challenge, because you were very limited on time and not much room to maneuver.
And also thank you for Anne-Marie, because she just had a 3-hour coaching session. And then, to do the coaching for 3 hours and then come into an interview and you have technical issues and still have a message. So really appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, one of the regulars on the show is Mr. Andrew Ford from Ford & Doonan. Ford & Doonan Air Conditioning in Perth here in Western Australia. One of the top performers in the air conditioning industry, multi-award winners, been in business for 35 years. Look, you don't get there without knowing some success of formulas, Gerhard.
But also, if they will not be where they are today without innovation.
So this is a really good interview we managed to do with Andrew, and I think some of the knowledge and insights he partakes generously, I think is definitely worth watching. Here he is, Mr. Andrew Ford, Ford & Doonan. Well, Andrew from Ford & Doonan, you've been in Perth, Western Australia for 35 years, big celebrations and everything. Congratulations on that. Coronavirus comes along. What's your attitude?
We've cancelled our 35th anniversary party, I know that much. So that's going to be deferred. We even thought of a virtual party, but that's another story. We invite guests in, them a little bottle of wine and like a webinar type thing. But all seriousness, so a lot's changed, hasn't it, Michael? So yeah, it's just battling through the best you can with all the things coming at you.
Do you think having that 35 years behind you now, you guys, I don't know, have you got the attitude that, well, this is just a 6-month blip in the road for the next 35 years? So in perspective, it's kind of, let's just do our best to get through it?
That's how we're taking, how we're looking at it, yes, Michael. And I think, again, because we've been around so long and we've been prudent with building our balance sheet, we're not particularly worried whether we're going to survive or not. That's fait accompli, we will. So it's a matter of how we're going to come out of it. And I think we will all look back and just say, wow, what a year that was. Like maybe the Great Depression back then, like they look back then, and who knows how it's going to finish up. But we're certainly looking well past that. We're not just worrying about the next month or the next 3 months. It's going to be some pain.
I was going to say, are you and Kyle with Ford & Dune actively planning the future and still planning your future growth, or is that kind of taking a back burner? I mean, what is your take on it?
It's hard to plan growth right now when all we're looking at is retraction due to external forces, so it's very hard to plan it, but we know it will end. And yeah, we're sort of planning the next bit of growth. We never stop planning for growth. It's just whether it gets stalled for a year or 6 months and then before it goes off again. So always look ahead. You've just got to keep looking ahead 1 year, 2 years, 5 years.
So when you're looking ahead 1, 2 and 5 years, we hear a lot of times people should design their plan and work their plan. Obviously hiccups arrive. Does that cause you and Carl then to go and revise your plans, or you just say, we're just, what's the PM said, they're in hibernation?
That's a
I
good
don't know
word.
what that means.
Yeah. It's probably not a bad word, actually. It is really just hibernate them and just stall them for 6 months. Hopefully it's only 6 months and we're back out and then planning it. Again, there's opportunity, isn't there? Because I believe in our industry of air conditioning, not all the competitors that exist today will be there in 6 months' time. I think the ones that are highly geared, debt-ridden, not a good solid business, won't necessarily come out of this, which is sad, but there's opportunity where there's negativity.
Exactly. I suppose a lot of business owners who've got staff like yourself are getting a little bit stressed about their staff. Maybe the staff are getting stressed. What's Ford & Dune and yourself and Carl doing now to help build that staff confidence that you're in it here and you will come through the other side?
Yeah, I think it's just more communication, which is of course a bit harder now they're not in the office. Like a memo I just issued today was talking about why and what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because there's some, we put people on some reduced hours and some of those people have kicked up, I shouldn't get that. Well, what's the alternative for your workmate to be terminated and suspended or made redundant? We're trying to keep everybody employed here, so all of us have to take a little bit of a hit with it, and a little bit of pay reduction is better than a whole lot, is our theory, and we keep our team as one. We're not having to recruit all new people at the end of it, and they've got more reassurance that they've got a job, albeit not paying quite as well as what it used to.
We've talked in the past how you've managed to transition to home. How does staff taken working from home and not having that regularity or consistency of coming to an office?
Interestingly, looking at the different staff, you can see the ones that have family who it doesn't really make much difference, but the staff that maybe live alone, you can see that they are suffering a little bit when they do come in. They're like hungry for that people connection. And I think that's out there widespread in the community, not just in the workplace. But it's very interesting. You've got to sort of be conscious of that. I don't know if you could so much manage it, but be conscious if they want to spend an extra 5 minutes chatting to you, devote that time to them, because they're needing that in their world.
That was great. Andrew Ford there talking about setbacks are not permanent, and I think that's a really clear message for COVID. It's here, but in 6 months' time, it's going to just about be all gone. Some things will be different, but setbacks are only temporary unless you decide to make them permanent. I thought it was a great message there, Gerhard.
But let's take COVID out of the equation. You will have setbacks in your business. You will have a staff shortage, or suddenly the interest rate goes up, and you importing and exporting, and suddenly the exchange rate change. There's always setbacks. It's just how you manage those setbacks.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things I think has come out of this time is people starting to explore more on how to use the social media platforms to get their message out and connect to their customers. And Colin James is a regular on the show, Mr. Facebook himself. And this week, Gerhard, he's talking about the rules to make your Facebook postings more effective.
We all need some help when it goes to social media because it changes so often. Every time we speak to Colin, we make changes to our Facebook pages. So we really appreciate his input.
Here he is, Mr. Colin James, and Facebook the rules for making your postings more effective. Well, we're back with Colin James. How are you, Colin?
Good. Really good.
Facebook postings, and we've talked about groups and everything like that. One thing that I see on the bottom of some of these postings, sometimes there's hashtags, sometimes there's not, sometimes there's contact details, sometimes there's not. Is there some rules around this for Facebook to make your postings more effective?
Hashtags are very effective. Hashtags came to us from Instagram, right? So who owns Instagram? Facebook. So Facebook just took that technology and brought it across to Facebook. And your hashtags need to be consistent. There's all sorts of different stories out there about how many hashtags do you have, you know, what do you do, what do you use for your hashtags. My favourite one at the moment is hashtag WA back to normal. I don't know how much traction that one's going to get, but it's just a hashtag, a fun hashtag to use on social media. On Facebook, between 5 and 15 hashtags, and these are about your business and your business services. If you are out there promoting your business, be consistent. Your hashtags need to be the same on every post. Your contact details need to be the same on every post. Your email address, your phone number, your name, email address, your phone number, your Facebook page, your website, your hashtags. The same on every business post you do.
Is there assistance? So someone's looking at it now and saying, oh, geez, I've never done this stuff before. Is there some guides of how you pull your hashtags out? You know, where do you make them up? If people say, well, it sounds good to me, but I don't know if it's going to be popular.
Okay, so here's the question you've got to ask yourself. What services do you provide? It's really simple. What service do you provide? If you provide 3 or 4 different services, well, there's 3 or 4 different hashtags. Your name is a hashtag. Your business is a hashtag. So now we're up to 7 already. And you go, there are engines on Google, hashtag generator on Google, and you'll go to a few different sites that will allow you to put a hashtag in and see how popular it is. Don't use the most popular hashtags because you'll get lost in the noise. So be unique, but here's the other question you got to ask yourself. Are you doing search engine optimization, and are you paying someone a small fortune to do search engine optimization? And what are the keywords you're paying someone to use for your search engine optimization? And why aren't you using those for your hashtags?
That's an interesting question, an interesting way of putting it. One thing that is occurring to me, and I have seen this. Now, I was on somebody's Facebook posting the other day. Now, they put a famous person's name as part of their hashtag and just put tactics after it or strategies or something like that. And I just wondered how effective that actually does become.
It all comes down to ethics. Some people aren't very ethical. To use somebody else's name to promote your business without their express permission might have some legal ramifications, and I wouldn't do it. Would I use your name to promote my business? Do you have a share in my name? Have I asked you permission to use your name? It's like everything else. If you're a famous person, your name has a copyright. And if you use that and they breach their copyright, you need to go have a look at the copyright rules. You're in media, you know exactly what happens if you breach copyright with somebody. It can be very, very expensive for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they'll just close you down.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why I wanted to ask you that question, so people are very aware that this is not the done thing. There's even people's phraseology, and I've got quite a fair bit of phraseology built up that's intellectual property. And I've noticed a couple of times people have taken that phraseology and I've had to send them a nice message and say, I'm sorry, but that's intellectual property.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I had a logo many, many years ago when I was umpiring cricket that looked a little bit like the M&M, the red M&M, but it was actually a cricket ball. And they wrote to me and said, please stop doing that. And I wrote back to them and said, I'm so sorry, I'll fix that right now.
Conscious of your time, your number one takeaway for hashtags, someone going for the first time going to put them on the bottom of a posting.
all your services need to be your hashtags. If you deliver milk, hashtag deliver milk. If you your name is your hashtag, it's your name. So hashtag Colin James is my hashtag. Hashtag Michael Worthington should be yours. Hashtag 101 Media. Hashtag 1 Minute Millionaire. Hashtag I'm the best.
That's fantastic. Colin James, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, what a show. Well, I'm getting used to this two studio. I can't say it's my favourite way of filming, Gerhard, having in two separate studios. I find there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Totally, and even people say, you know, the new way of communication is going to be Zoom and Skype. Personally, I think people still need that personal communication. So for me, I need that connection.
Yeah, but what a great show. Geez, we started off with Helia Singh, we've had Andrew Ford on. That great interview you did with
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie. That was really, really insightful. Your 60-second question, Gerhard, once again got some really good gold out of that, I thought.
Yes, and this little gold nuggets that you take and implement in your business. It's no use listening to our show and say, well, that was a great show, but you don't do anything with the information. Take at least just one of these gold nuggets and see when you're going to implement it in your business.
Yeah, and you know, someone said to me, you know, what do we do with the show? Well, I would actually listen to it. And as Gerhard said, I would actually be picking out one highlighted. So if you were going, well, today you all talked about pivoting, reframing. Reframing, by the way, does not mean picking your business up and throwing it out the window and starting again. Reframing is going, this is our customer base. Now, am I missing a customer? Am I missing a way of communicating with a customer? What is it? Am I doing, is there a new customer base I can collect or a new way of communicating? Pick one. And if it's a new way of communicating, then go, okay, what could it be? How could I do it better? Do I need email lists? Should I have set up that email database? You know, should I be better on Facebook, like Colin says? You know, what is it you're going to do? And then maybe have a discussion with your significant other or someone in business, or maybe you're in a networking group. Have a chat, have a collaboration. I think collaboration, and we've done an article on this a little while ago, Gerhard, collaboration is going to be the new tool going forward, not competition.
I think what you said now, that's going to be the new normal.
Yeah, collaboration. So even if it was after today's show going, who should I collaborate with? How should I collaborate with? What can I give benefit to them? And what can they give to me? And really cement those networks within the organizations you're probably already a part of. That's probably what I would be doing from today's show, is going, okay, this is a new norm. Let's see how I can make it work for me. And Gerhard, you always have your way of goal setting, and maybe there's a good way to conclude the show with your SMART.
SMART is just so part of what we do at Worthington Stoop. You know, it's just, we have to be specific on our goal. We have to be able to measure it. It needs to be achievable, but also ambitious.
I like that. Sorry, Gerhard, I like the ambitious part.
Yeah, because sometimes people set their goals so low that they will reach it. So you need to be ambitious. There need to be a reward. It's so important that when you reach your goal, to say thank you to yourself. And the most important, what is the time frame you're going to do it in?
Absolutely, what time frame? So maybe you can have a look at that this week. Just pick one. Follow the SMART formula. Be a little bit ambitious. I do like that bit in there. And we will see you next week on another issue or another episode of the Business Today TV show. And until then, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.